welcome back to the channel. This is like really funny that this is the format because you guys are, used to seeing just me with my camera. But today, as you can see, we have a very special guest with us who I'm going to introduce in just a moment. But I just wanted to share with you guys that today we're doing a message together, myself and Mina, who is a NowBloom coach. We're going to do a message together today. And what we're going to talk about today is that your past does not dictate your calling. And the goal of this video is, one, for us to encourage you guys, and two, for you guys to get to meet Mina. Because if you're looking to work with a life coach, then you're able to book with her or to join her group coaching. But ultimately, we just want the Lord to just speak through us today, encourage you guys. So welcome, Mina. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time to be here today.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me. This is a real joy for me.
Yeah, and you're joining all the way from Finland, which is so cool.
Yes.
So Mina and I have known each other for a couple of years, and she's actually the person who gave me the prophetic word to start NowBloom Academy. So she has given me a lot of prophetic words that have been just so on point and really, really helpful the way that the Lord has spoken through her. So I've just been super blessed by Mina. She's really blessed to NowBloom, and I'm just so excited to have her join. And yeah, so just before we jump into it, Mina, if you just wanted to introduce yourself, what you do. I know I kind of said that you're a Christian life coach, but yeah, who you are and what you do.
So my name is Minna, and I'm 38 years old, and I'm married almost 7 years now. And like you mentioned, I have my coaching company, and I work with NowBloom also. So I do Christian life coaching for women. And besides that, I have daytime job in a Christian media house. My work is very versatile. The media house has like a Christian publishing and TV channels, Christian Women's Magazine.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think it's great that the work that you do, like aside from coaching, that you're so immersed in all Christian like ministry and television and everything like that. I think that is so cool. That's a very cool job. So the message for today is about your past not dictating your future or your calling. And so what we wanted to share today is, I guess, Mina, because this really means a lot to you, this particular phrase. This means a lot to you because of your own background. So for those people who maybe are listening and, you're successful in what you do, you're a successful coach and, just all the work that you're involved in. But a lot of people might be thinking, well, that's easy for her, maybe because of her background or maybe because of where she came from. So would you be able to share with us about your upbringing and your background? Because I know that you weren't always this person who knew all this about inner healing, and you weren't always walking with the Lord. And so, yeah, just to share your background, I think that's really encouraging for other people to hear.
So I grew up in extremely dysfunctional family background. Both of my parents, they became alcoholics at very young age. So it influenced a lot in mine and my brother's life. We were taking custody for numerous of times, so many times that even my mother didn't remember how many times. We got taken to children's foster home for like 2 years or something like that. And after that, we came back home with my parents. Then my father wasn't in the picture anymore. We had a stepfather. He was very, very like dominant personality, wanted to dictate like almost our opinions and so on. And he was also alcoholic, and there was a lot of physical and mental abuse, all kind of crazy stuff happening in our lives or in our family life. One of my therapists even said to me that there was nothing normal in my life growing up. So that describes it pretty well. Sometimes we didn't even have anything to eat. Then when I was 18, I moved to my own apartment with my boyfriend and started my life apart from home. I can say that I was a hot mess mentally because my parents didn't really teach me any like life lessons or anything like that. I felt like I was like a second-class citizen. I was very insecure, and I was like running away from my feelings to partying and all kind of stuff.
Thank you for sharing that. It's just the, like you said, the dysfunction of your background, and then even up until, like you were saying, you're 18 years old, and now you're kind of left with not knowing how to like recognize, like having that emotional awareness of your feelings and how to process them. And like you said, just needing like the basic life lessons and so much like trauma and pain to overcome from the past. And yeah, so that's great for our audience to hear and just to understand that where you came from. And I'm sure that that just gives you such an understanding and a compassion for other people as well, with whatever they've gone through and even where they're at right now in life. And so, you know, I know that was such a different time of your life. So then what changed? Like, how did you go from being in that brokenness to then receiving healing and coming to the Lord? I'm sure that it's like, it wasn't an overnight thing. I'm sure it was like a journey, but if you could share like in a nutshell of how that happened.
So I gave my life to Christ when I was 12 or turning 13. It was the springtime that I had my birthday. I did that decision to give my life to Jesus, but I didn't know what to do with Christianity. I couldn't tell anyone of my family. I didn't feel like it was accepted there. So it was something that I always like cherished in my heart, and I prayed and so on. But I was living this party lifestyle, and I was living like in a way two lives. Mostly it was the worldly lifestyle. I just started feeling more and more and more empty, like the partying started to feel, or life in general, like I needed something deeper, something meaningful. God started to like draw me closer to Him. It was really hard to make that decision for me. It wasn't easy because I had my friend group. I had my lifestyle that I was used to, and I was thinking that maybe Christian lifestyle is very gray and boring. And also I was feeling that I'm not good enough to go to church. But the pressing on my heart was so strong that 2016, after I got married, I decided that now I can go to church. Yes, but I went. I started from this women's prayer group, and a little bit nervous going there because I had never experienced anything like that, and I didn't know any of these women and so on. But at the same time, I just felt that this is something that I need to do. Like I was also very sure about my decision, and it was one of the best decisions in my life. I started going there to the group regularly. Like I got really renewed in my faith. God really walked through that women's group, and it had and has still amazing leader called Maria, who is like my spiritual big sister. That started the process, and it definitely has been a process for me. Nothing has happened like overnight or something like that. So the first year that I started going to church and got renewed in my relationship with the Lord, it was really challenging and hard. It wasn't like walking on clouds or something like that. I actually felt like God took this gazelle and broke me into pieces, and then he didn't lose any of the pieces. He collected them all, and then he started molding something new and something beautiful, and
Wow.
my life started really transforming.
Wow, that is so beautiful. I love that you said that, like all the pieces, like you felt completely broken, but he didn't lose any of those pieces and he used it to mold it. He molded it together to create something beautiful. I love that. So many things change. Like there's so much healing that comes about just through knowing Christ. And then I know that then you also got into, which I know we can kind of talk about a little bit afterwards, about your credentials and what you went to school for and your training and everything like that. And then how did that, at what point did you feel like, I want to help other people, I want to get into coaching, and I want to help other people to get healed?
I felt that God has some kind of plan for me, and it was almost like a whale was in front of the plan. I couldn't see it, but I could feel that there is something, and I was very insecure about myself, that I felt silly that no, God's not going to like use me for anything like this. But then I found this, like I felt like the first step was just bringing it up and started talking about it. And okay, the first step was of course praying about it, but after that talking about it a little bit with encouraging friends. There was a lot of praying, and I wrote down some ideas, and initially my what I thought was completely different than what it is right now. So because my background is in the beauty industry, where I have worked in for 15 years, I thought that maybe I'm going to start this wellness center, and I'm going to work in the holistic well-being field, and helping women in that way. Actually, 2016, I started my studies in the University of Helsinki. I studied theology there. I took this course about positive psychology, and I got very interested in that. So I studied it more, and I had the idea also starting the studies to become a coach.
That's so cool. So you said the first course you took, you said you were studying theology. Did you say theology? And then you went into positive. Okay, so theology and then positive psychology. And obviously there was a lot of prayer that went into it. But I also like that you shared that you had a different vision initially. Like initially you were thinking, okay, I'm going to start this wellness center and help women in this way. But then and that's just a good lesson in of itself, is there's so many plans or visions that we have for our lives. But then there are other visions, like you were saying, it felt like there was like a wall that was up where you weren't able to, you discerned and you felt in your spirit maybe that there was a plan for you that the Lord had, but you just couldn't see it yet. And I think a lot of people, maybe even listening now, are in that situation where they know, they read in the word that God has good plans for them, but they don't see it, or maybe they even feel they can discern there's something coming, but it feels like something is holding them back from it. So how do you feel that the Lord used your past of what you came out of right now in your calling? How do you feel that, I mean, I feel I can see it in your life, but how would you say that the Lord used what you went through to include it in what your calling is?
I feel like I have gained so much compassion and understanding and wisdom about all of the processes that I have gone through. So now I can use that for the benefit of others. And also, I feel like God has done so amazing things in my life that I believe that it's amazing He can do it for anybody else. And I just feel very passionate about Christians not just like surviving through life, but like thriving and flourishing and walking in God's plan.
That's so good. Yeah, I love that. Just that you really see that the Lord wants us to thrive and to flourish. And that is so good. And so what would your message be, or what would you want to say to those people who maybe they didn't have a good start in life? They grew up in a dysfunctional home, or they're just feeling really disqualified, and that, how could the Lord have good plans for me? What message would you want to share with those people?
I just want to share that God can restore everything, and God's plan is good for everyone. That like God has a unique plan for everyone, and His promises are true. And sometimes we might feel that we are special in a negative way, like too far gone or something like that, like God couldn't help us anymore or something like that. But that's not true. God's mercy and grace is for everyone, and His love is for everyone. And God can just turn like really bad things into beautiful things.
That's so good. And I hope that can also be encouraging for people listening as well. Even just the parts of your story that you were sharing about how when you weren't walking with the Lord, or when you accepted the Lord, but you weren't living as a Christian. And I know that was my situation as well. And I know that I felt similar to you, different backgrounds, but similar to you in the way that feeling disqualified, not good enough, imposter syndrome, inadequate, and especially to also not even just to help people with like inner healing and like emotional wellness, but also as Christians, I feel like we can feel disqualified if we didn't have like a great backstory as Christians. Like we didn't grow up going to church and like the perfect Christian or something like that. And thinking like, how could I help people and coach them in this when I was living in the opposite way? But I think, so I know a lot of people can relate probably to both of us in that way. And I think that in a way, I feel it almost like the Lord works out all things for good, right? So I feel in a way it actually is an advantage point, because we have seen what it's like to want to walk with God, but to just be so broken, to be living in sin, but to wanting to be living for God, and just feeling all these different things. So then I feel like it really creates such an empathy and compassion for other people, and as coaches as well, that when people come to work with us, that it is such a judge-free zone. Like it's not like, there's no condemnation. We're there to help, and we understand. And so, I'm just really happy that you're able to share all these parts of your story and to be vulnerable and open about that, because, we're not sitting here saying we're perfect Christian life coaches and we have always had it together, and it's just wasn't the case, but that actually just gives God the glory in the end, right?
Yes, exactly.
So what would you say a practical step what could be a practical step that someone could do even today just to start to discover their calling?
The most important thing is to pray. So if you haven't yet started praying on it, start praying on it. And other is to obey, pray and obey. That's my pastor said to me that's a good advice always. The obeying part, it's not always easy. I've noticed it many times very challenging, but to pray and obey. And then also you can write down what arises from the prayers. And also you can write down and think that what would you do if you weren't afraid? And also like discovering your strengths, you can, practical step is to ask some of your, if you have encouraging friends or family members, you can ask like 3 to 5 things that are your character strengths in their opinion. So you can start listing your character strengths, and of course if you have a strong feeling what they might be, you can write them down, because I think character strengths are important because God has created us for a purpose, and when we are using our strengths, it creates meaning in what we are doing. So I think it's very, very important. Our strengths and our gifts, they are not gifts like mainly for us, but they're gifts for others.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I like that you said our strengths and our gifts are not for us, they're for others. That is so important to remember, because I think when we can get our eyes off of ourselves and remember like this is actually for a greater purpose, this is to serve God and serve other people, then it can take some of the pressure off. And I like that you said as well about, well, I like everything that you said, but I like what you also said about what would I do if I was not afraid? Because we can, that fear can really be super crippling. So I think that's really great as well. But most importantly, like you said, to pray on it. And I think when we look in the word that it says that he has good plans for us and plans to prosper us and not to harm us, and that he has a future for us. I think when we even take that word and we pray it to God and say, God, this is what your word says. And he's not a respecter of people that, that, oh, sorry, I didn't mean that for you. I just meant that for everyone else. Like, no, if he means it for everyone. So I think that is so good. And now just to switch gears a little bit, could you maybe let our listeners know, for those who are looking to work one-on-one? So first of all, Mina is going to be having a program that's going to be coming out, which we'll talk. I mean, we don't have all the details for you just yet, but we'll share with you a little bit about that. But also, if you're looking to work one-on-one with a coach, would you be able to share, Mina, what are the areas that you would be able to support them in?
Helping to discover your calling. And your, like I say, God confidence, the confidence in God, and also inner healing, emotional wellness, and also because I have education in branding and marketing and all that. If somebody is interested in creating own company and branding, I can help with that.
Yeah, you have a lot of great ideas when it comes to that. Like you said, you have a background in marketing and branding, and I know you've given me a lot of great ideas as well for NowBloom and for NowBloom Academy. And also what I like about when you share those ideas is that it's very, like, it's not just like you're just throwing it out there. It really feels Holy Spirit led when you give an idea, like, oh, have you thought of maybe doing this? So I think in a practical way for those who need help, again, with their business or their ministry, their branding in that sort of way. But then at the same time, you have just as much experience with the inner healing, helping people with finding their calling, their God confidence. And then could you just remind us again of what your education is? I know you touched on it a little bit, but I know that you also, I think you went to school as well for a different program for coaching. So if you can just share that as well with us.
So I have studied theology in the University of Helsinki, and I have studied positive psychology, and then I have degree life coaching degree. It was like 1 year education, and then I went to NowBloom Academy, of course, and I'm also a product developer, and I have focused on creating coaching products and branding and so on. So that's some of my schooling.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love how you have it's very well-rounded. And like you mentioned, yes, Mina also went through NowBloom Academy as well, which was super cool because you gave me the word to even start it. So that was just amazing. And then, yeah, and then we'll just briefly just touch on, just to let you guys know as well. I know I said this in a previous video, but starting in, we're aiming for August that Mina is going to be starting about a 12-week life coach, group coaching program that's going to be based on finding your calling. And I know that, we're not going to share all the details just yet with you guys, but if this is something that you're interested in, the group is going to be between about like 10 to 15, let's just say on average. So it is a smaller group because there still needs to be that level of intimacy. So spots will be limited, but if you guys are interested, I can put the link for you to go on to nowbloom.life, and then you can put your email down and say that you're interested in the group. But yeah, I don't know if Mina, if you had anything that you wanted to share on that.
Yes, so we don't have like very specific plans. We have this overall picture right now, but I'm just very excited to start a group coaching because I think the dynamic is different when we get to share and learn from each other. So yeah, that's starting in August, and we are going to share more details about it later. Very excited about it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll share more details with you guys later. And this is something you have experience with, like you have lots of experience with group coaching, big groups, small groups. So this is something that, I know that you're the expert in. So I'm like, you know how to do it, how to do it well. So very, very exciting. And yeah, just before we wrap up, are there any final thoughts or anything else that you wanted to share with the audience for today?
This just came to me again. Just trust his promises. His promises are for you. And I'm very excited to take in new clients if you're interested.
Yes, so Mina is she is currently taking on new clients. So we'll also put the link up here as well for you to book with her. And then you're also offering discovery calls as well, like a free 15-minute discovery call. So if you want to have a meet and greet with Mina before going ahead and booking, you can also do that as well. So we will put all the details in the link above. And we just want to thank you guys so much for listening today. Thank you so much, Mina, for coming on here today. We really just, we were praying together before, and we were just really praying that this will be a message that will touch your heart, that whoever needed to hear this message will have clicked on this video, that the Holy Spirit will speak to you through this video. And then again, maybe it was just the perfect timing to also click here and then see that, get to meet Mina, and that she could be an answer to prayer for you if you've been praying for someone to walk alongside you, to help you in your faith walk, to help you overcome insecurities or negative self self-talk, self-doubt, you know, just all of the things, the things that we deal with, you know, whether Christian or not, these are things that we deal with. And so I pray that Mina can be an answer to prayer for you guys as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much, Mina, for joining.
Thank you so much for inviting me and having me. It was a joy.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's great that you get to meet Mina, and we will see you guys on the next video.